Hello everyone, and today's topic is while loop, for loop and pattern examples. Go to the text editor. Loop statements. For loop. For loop in Python is used to iterate over a sequence. Say list, tuple and string. These are the data types in Python. We shall discuss about them in detail in coming sessions. Syntax of for loop. For is a keyword, space, a variable to hold this space in is a keyword, space, a sequence and a colon followed by statements of for this for loop. Go to the interactive shell, say for is a keyword and I is a variable here and in is a keyword. Sequence can be a list, tuple and string. So we shall have a list here. List consists of items like 1, 2, 3, 4, colon, enter. Say print I. So at first instance 1 will be there in I. The next time when it iterate 2. Next time when it iterate I will hold 3. The next time it will iterate I will hold 4. So when you print I, it will print 1, 2, 3, 4 at new lines. You can see here at the terminal the print we got output like 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to the text editor. These are few examples for loop. Here words is a list containing of strings as an items. Just copy this. Say for I in words. Here words is a sequence consisting of items like cat, window, demonstrate as a sequence, colon, print I. It will print cat, window, demonstrate. Similarly, take one more example. It will print 1 space 4 space new line 7 new line 3 new line 8. If you want to print the items in the same line, we have to give end. Say take nums is equal to say for I in nums colon print I comma separator is equal to comma and end is a tab. You can see here 1 a tab, 4 tab, 7 tab, 3 tab, 8. By default we haven't specified any end, a new line character is printed. We shall discuss about it in detail in the coming sessions. Coming to for loop. For can also iterate through a string sequence. I in say name colon enter print I. Go to interactive shell, say for I in give a string, say name colon enter print I. So here name string becomes a sequence of characters. So it will print N new line character, A new line, M new line, E. You can see here N new line, A new line, M new line, E. For the for loop, we can also give range. For I in range of 4. Say print I. You can see here as range starts with 0 and ends with 3, so I becomes 0, 1, 2, 3. It will iterate through 0, 1, 2, 3. Take one more example, say fruits is equal to apple, banana and mango. For I in fruits colon print I. It will iterate each and every item of a list. Apple, banana and mango. We can also use range for that. For I in range of length of fruits. So it will length of fruits will return 3. Length of this list is 3, so it will return 3. So print I. If you try to print this, the output will be 0, 1, 2. But I want the items inside the list, so I of say fruits of I. You can see apple, banana, mango. We are trying to index here. We shall discuss about this indexing and slicing in coming topics on list data structure. For loop also has an else block. Say I in say name colon enter print I. For loop also has a else block, so else colon enter print inside else block. You can see here for I in name, so we should get N new line character, A new line, M new line, E, and after that else is executed. When people come from Java, C++ or C, they tell like it should throw an error because misplaced else here. In Python, this is a valid statement. So for loop has an else block. So after the iteration is done, it will execute this else block. What is the significance of else block here? I will explain that after some time. We can also have nested for loop. Say for inside the for I in range of 5 colon for j in range 2. Say print I comma j. You can see here. Remember the indentation. At the first iteration, I I will be looped twice because the range of j is 2. So 0 0, the next iteration of j 0 1, it will go to the top layer of I. So the next iteration I becomes 1, so 1 0 and 1 1. The next iteration I becomes 2 and so on. And coming to while loop. While loop syntax: while space expression to be resolved like true or false and followed by colon, enter and statements. Say go to the interactive shell, say take a variable a is equal to 10 while a less than 20, less than 20, colon, say print a, always increment a is equal to a plus 1. You can see here 10, 11, 12, 13 and so on up to 19. Let's try to do another example. Open a fresh instance of interactive shell. Say for I in range of 6, colon, say for I in range of, for j in range of I, colon, print star comma and is equal to a space. And there's some issue, so let's try to redo that. Star should be in quotes. Say print new line. You can see here this is one of the pattern. Take this code and try to analyze this code. Open the text editor. You can see here at first time I becomes 0, so this loop is not executed. It will print a new line and come out. So at the next instance I becomes 1, next iteration I becomes 1, so for j in 1, so it will iterate once, so it will print star and with space and come out. So at the first iteration, when I is equal to 1, I is equal to 1, it will print star. The next iteration I becomes 2, so for j in range of 2, so this loop iterates twice, so it will print star space star. The next iteration I becomes 3, so this loop iterates thrice, 0 1 2, so it will print star space star space star. This space is due to the end end argument in print function. And every break of this for loop prints a new line. So when I becomes 4, it will iterate. The inner loop iterates 4 times. Say star space star space star space star. Enter. I becomes 5. It will iterate 5 times the inner loop. So it becomes star space star space star space star space star. You can also do the same thing with numbers. Try to print J here. You can see here 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now coming to loop control statements in Python. Loop control statements in Python are break and continue. Let's go to the Python interactive shell. Say for I in, take a string called break or India colon print I if I is equal to we are validating with the character, say D colon break. So when I becomes equals to character D, this entire loop breaks. So it will print only IN in this case, IND in this case. So at first iteration I becomes I, so it will print I, and the next iteration it will becomes N, so it will print N. So I is not equal to N, so it won't break, and the next iteration it will print D and I is equal to D. So this condition satisfied and this break statement executed. So this break statement makes the makes the loop break and come out of this loop. So the output is I and D. Similarly, we also have a continue statement. Say for I in Sachin colon print I if I equal to, say, character H, continue. You can see here so the control statement, the continue statement makes the loop go to the starting of the loop. We shall take another example which makes clear understanding of this continue control flow statement. Say for I in, say Sachin colon if I equal to H colon continue print I. can see here it did not print H because at the first iteration I becomes S, so this block is not executed, so it printed. The next iteration I becomes A, this block is also not satisfied, so it will print A. In the next iteration I become C, so it won't so it will print C. So at the next iteration I becomes H, so this block executes and continue. It will go to the starting of the for loop, so it won't, this print statement won't execute when I becomes H. This is the continue control flow statement. Similarly, there is one more control flow statement, say pass. Just open the fresh instance, say for I in, say messy colon pass, and try to print I. It returned me character I. Here pass does nothing, it's a null here. It's the for loop goes on iterates and I is assigned to the variable I here. Take another example for pass, say Ronaldo, try to print I. It printed O, so it goes on iterates as pass is null, so I becomes O and this loop terminates. And the next topic is for else loop. For item in container or sequence, if block where we have a break statement and else, and this else belongs to this for loop. So in the else block we have some statements. So common construct is to run a loop and search for an item. If an item is found, we break out of the loop using break statement. So we are searching for an item. If the item found, we break out of this for loop. So this else part is not executed when the item is found. There is another case when the item is not found, this else loop is executed because in this break we are not coming out of this for loop. The first one is when the item is found, the break is encountered, so the else block is not executed. The second scenario, when the loop ends without encountering the break statement, the else block executes. Take an example for else block, say for I in range of 10, print I if I equal to 5 break, else print I value of I at the end of for loop. You can see here the output of this for loop is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because when an I becomes 5, this break statement executed and this entire loop got broke down. Similarly, try to do the same thing, try to validate it with 11, say I, try to validate I with 12. You can see here. So I iterated through each and every item in the list 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this else block is executed because this condition never satisfied and this break is not executed. So value of I at the end of for loop is 9. Similarly, take one more example for else block. Say for n in range of 2 to 10, for x in range of 2 to n. So this for loop will execute from 2 to the value of n. So try to execute this. Try to run this example at the interactive shell. It will give me the prime numbers ranging from 2 to 10. You can see here 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number, and 4 equals to 2 into 2. 5 is a prime number and 6 equals to 2 into 3. 7 is a prime number, 8 equals to 2 into 4, and 9 equals to 3 into 3. Let's have some explanation of this nested for loop. Say at first iteration, iteration 1, n becomes 2, n is equal to 2, comma. So range of 2 comma 2, it returns me an empty list. So we have a point here. Let's go to the interactive shell so that I can show you live. For I in range of 2 to 2, 2 comma 2, it will return me an empty list. Say try to print I, and also have else block. Say print inside else block, else loop, else block, else will be printed. When the sequence is empty as well, is empty. You can see here range 2 of 2 becomes an empty list. Even though it is an empty list, else block is executed. So coming to this example, here range of 2 to 2 returns an empty list and else block is executed. So when at first iteration n is equal to 2, it will print 2 is a prime number. The next iteration 2, where n becomes 3. So the next inside loop becomes for x in range of 2 to 3. So x becomes 2 here. So 3 modulus 2 not equal to 0. So this if block won't be executed, so it will go to the else. So 3 is a prime number. It will print 3 is a prime number. Similarly, for the next iteration, n becomes 4. It will loop from 2 to 3, and the iterations goes on. Let's have some few tasks on pattern programming. Let's say task 1. Task 1 is to generate a pattern with below using for loop. Say the requirement is to generate this pattern. At the first line it should print 1, in the next line it should print 2 2, in the next third line should print 3 3, the fourth line 4 4, and so on up to 9. You can see here the length is 9, the size of this pattern is 9, so it should the base for loop should loop 9 times. So for I in, let's declare one variable called size is equal to 9 for I in range of size, colon, enter. The next loop you can see here at the first iteration it should print 1, so it should only loop once. So for j in range of I, print I, comma, it should end with space, and this for loop should end with new line character. Say print new line. Try to save it and run. Open the command prompt. Go to the examples, copy this path, go to the command prompt, cd that path, enter. Clear screen, python space pattern 1.py. You can see here pattern, we got a pattern, but it executed only 8 times. You can change the size here. Say size +1 should print till 9. I will explain it later. You can see here it printed 9 times. Because range of 9 gives 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have to increment with 1. Now the range of 10 gives 0 to 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to 9. Since range of 0 gives me empty list, this won't be executed. Or we can also start with range of 1 to size of 1. You can go to the terminal, say range of 0, list of, to print the list 0 will give me an empty list. Go to another task where task 2 says generate a pattern below using a for loop. We need to generate a pyramid, full pyramid, using for loop. Can specify the size. Size is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Enter. And you can see here the spaces for the first iteration. For this we need to declare one more variable called spaces is equal to, at the first time it will become 2 into size 1, 2, 3, and 2 into size minus 1. So 2 into size minus 1, and the next iteration at 2 it should become minus 1. So at the top only 2 spaces are printed. Start the for loop for I in range of size colon for j in range of m. So spaces. To print the spaces here, colon for this loop it should print spaces, so print and is equal to space, and the spaces should be decremented minus 1 for the next iteration. So spaces is equal to spaces minus 1. The next loop is to print this star. Say for k in range of I. Plus 1. Say print star comma and with space. After end of this loop we need to print new line. Say print slash n. Try to print this. Clear screen. Python space python2.py. You can see here a full pyramid is printed. Similarly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The size is 7. Similarly, go to another task. Task says generate a pattern below using a for loop. The task is to generate a half pyramid. So in this pattern we need to remove this part. Declare the size is equal to say 7, or else we can also take it from the input. Say int input, enter the size of the pattern, for I in range of size for j in range of I plus 1. Print star, comma, and argument should be space. The new line character, print new line. Save it and run it. Go to the command line, clear screen, python space pattern3.py. Size of the pattern, say 7. You can see here half pyramid is at the terminal 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Similarly, clear screen, try to give some other size, say 12. You can see here half pyramid with size 12 is at the terminal. And this completes our pattern programming and today's topic of while loop, for loop and pattern examples. Thank you.